cents per mile, featuring Charles Gracie, Paul Gibson, and Josh Haynes. Everyone knows the trucking industry has issues, but most people are afraid to talk about it.
Someone's got to do it.
With loads of recruiting and marketing experience and backed by the largest driver audience in the world, we deliver carriers the driver perspective, find solutions, and help make sense make sense.
What's up? We're at a golf course again.
At the Broker Carrier Summit in Fort Worth, Texas.
That's how the whole thing started, but they saw the stuff we did last time, so they got us a golf cart. But I'm driving now. Good luck, everybody.
It is the post and pray.
Ironic. We did a golf tournament one time, and now we have to do it every time.
Hey, Charles, did you tell them at the last golf course that they actually had 4-seaters and we just picked the 2?
I just told them we wanted to keep things interesting and that we had an extra bag of clubs.
My assessment still stands. I work with a bunch of jerks.
Well, we're glad that you guys are here, man, for sure. Thanks for coming out and being a part of the Post and Pray Classic presented by True North.
It's exciting.
My favorite event to put on. I always want to put on a golf tournament, and this is my opportunity to do it. And the whole goal is to make it the most competitive and most enjoyable golf tournament in transportation. And we're on our way.
You've achieved that. You guys have done this a couple years now. Have you guys always done the Post and Pray?
No. So the Broker Carrier Summit was originally Dan Lindsay's vision in Indianapolis. They had the first one back in April 2023, had 35 in-person attendees, 35 virtual attendees, and it just went so well. People were like, please do more of this. Please do this again. So we did it again in Tampa in October of 2023, and we've had 223. And so it's like, wow. That's pretty good growth. And then we went to Kansas City in April. We're trying to find markets that aren't normally hit, but are also pretty centrally located. So it's easy for drivers to get there, easy for brokers to fly in. So we did that. We had 360 there. And that was the first year that we did the Post and Pray Classic. That was kind of the first year that I felt like I had a little bit of bandwidth to put it together and do it right. And, we want it to be competitive. It's a 2-person team event, not a 4-person scramble. So that's unique. Great sponsors that really just make it possible. And so we're really thankful for that. But this is kind of my baby. I love it, man. I love putting this on. Not too often you can, put on a golf tournament and, be with your friends and have a good time. So it's awesome.
I think you've achieved that, and we're looking forward to the rest of the event. But we want to take a minute to just show our appreciation for everything that you've done together and hear your thoughts on it. So
I appreciate it, man. Thanks for being here and for supporting what we're doing here, man.
Always.
It's awesome.
I don't know of an alternative, to be quite frank with you, that would do anything close to what 10th Street does for our community, what we do in recruiting and retention. I just don't even know of a product that would be better. There's not a question of, it's okay, when are you signing up? I'm Daniel Alexander, Class A recruiting. We do third-party driver recruiting for many of the trucking companies here. So 10th Street allows us to market to drivers long-term. It allows us to sort and assign drivers to recruiters very, very quickly, automate a lot of the responses that we get.
If you want drivers, you probably need the applications that the driver use. Don't make it hard, make it more efficient. You want professional drivers, be a professional company.
If you're taking a look at the big picture of your business, you want to be able to offer your customers the best service that can be provided. We consider 10th Street best in class. It comes back to affordability, it comes back to service, and it comes back to quality. I would say those 3 things are key and what 10th Street really emphasizes and focuses on a daily basis.
Would you rather drive across the city going to multiple different stores, or would you want to go to the mall and hit all your stores in the same place? And that, to me, is how I view 10th Street. Everything that we need is right there. So it's kind of a no-brainer.
So, it's about productivity. At the end of the day, giving your people the tools and resources to make them better, I think is critical. I think 10th Street does that.
All right, so I'm here with Dan Lindsay, and this has been a pretty impressive success thus far.
Yeah, it's been phenomenal to watch. Again, this conversation is 30 years overdue. Brokers and carriers have needed to get together. They needed to do business, personal, face-to-face, and have the conversations. And I think everyone's buying in on it. It's fantastic.
It is, and you even decided to spice it up and add the FMCSA this year.
We did. We figured out how can we add more value, and that's one of the biggest things we ask every single time we do one of these. How can we not just add stuff, right? There's a lot of conferences that just add stuff, which that's fine, that's fun, but we want to make sure that this is a value-rich conference, value-rich event, And so one of the things that we were asking ourselves is, what if we brought the FMCSA to talk to both brokers and carriers? As far as I'm aware, that's never happened in the same place.
No, you are correct. It's never happened, or maybe we don't know about it because it's never successfully happened.
Maybe, probably, yes.
So there's been some great content. What I thought was unique is the networking opportunities between three sides of the business that have never really come together. You got the brokers, you got the carriers, you got the drivers. Now you got the FMCSA. There's been some really good conversations, and a lot of people just walking up to start them, so people are comfortable in this setting.
Yeah, well, one of the things we pride ourselves on with the event, and it reflects in the vibe, and here is we're intentional about everything. So one of the things we did a couple of days ago is we sent out an email to all the attendees saying how you can maximize the summit. And that was one of the things we put on there. Be intentional with your time. Have a goal of how many people you want to connect with. And we saw it last night at the networking event. Everybody who was talking at the networking event, brokers and carriers, were doing deals. There was some small talk going on and just getting to know each other. But for the most part, everyone was just talking about how they can move freight together. It's been fantastic.
No, and I thought that was a really fun event as well. We were there. We participated in the networking event. It was the speed networking one, and that was just a really cool concept. It was like a spin-off speed dating, but way more successful, and there was deals being made rather than hearts being broken.
Correct, yes, yeah.
So
we're not about breaking hearts over here. So
there's enough of that in the industry, so I think we can all appreciate you for that. So, going forward, where do you see this going?
We're going to change the industry. Flat out. This is the conversation that's going to overtake the industry. If you're a freight broker, if you're a trucking company, or if you are a support company in any way, the Broker Carrier Summit is the kind of environment that we want to work in the industry. Everybody is tired of being suspicious about everybody or demonizing or villainizing the other side. We want to enjoy the industry we're in. We want to have a great time, work with great partners, and the great part about trucking is those great partnerships are out there. And I told this to someone the other day. The Broker Carrier Summit in and of itself is not the solution to the problem. What we do is we facilitate the solution to the problem. The networking, the conversations are going, that's the solution to the problem. But we've not had a space to do that. And so one of the things we're rolling out in 2025, we're taking the summit on the road. We're going to hit 12 cities in 12 months on our tour that we're going to be launching. And we're going to be bringing the summit to individuals and companies in the cities they're in. We're also rolling out membership opportunities. So if you want to become a member, take advantage of our content, the platforms that we have, and continue to network and find valuable connections both with brokers and carriers and vendors, we're going to create a platform for us to do that.
That's a lot going on. It seems like you got a lot going on your plate. I don't imagine it gets any emptier over time with this because it seems like it's growing, it's catching on. Conversations, you see new faces like us being here. I mean, choices were made. Are you going to bring us back next year?
Oh, it's coming back next year. Yeah, next year we're going to Indianapolis, April 29th to May 1st, 2025. We're going to be at the historic Union Station. You've been to Union Station?
I have. Actually, we did some interesting filming for a trucking company down there. So are we coming back next year?
Do you want to come back next year?
Why wouldn't we? This is great. This is epic.
Then you're coming back next year.
All right, we got it. We got video footage confirming this, folks. So choices were made today.
Good choices.
So if someone wants to get involved with this, if someone wants to find you and find out why they missed this and what they can do to not miss it next year, I mean, how would they do so?
Yeah, go to our website, www.brokercarriersummit.com. You can look at the events tab. Indianapolis is up and open for registration. So go there, ask your questions. We have a contact us form. Email us if you're interested in membership, or if you're a vendor, you want to become a sponsor or get more involved. That's one of the biggest questions we have is how do we get involved? So go through our website, happy to talk. You'll get me directly or you'll get Courtney, who's our event manager, and we'll schedule a time to talk.
So the concept of this is pretty cool. You're bringing two sides that are often pitted against each other together to have dialogue to make the industry better for all involved. So the first time I saw it, I was expecting to surf the web and see like fights, bar fights, broken glass.
I think we all
I thought
are.
it was one of those things where when you signed up, it came with bond money.
Yeah.
And that hasn't happened.
Here's the reality of any of these organizations is when you peel back their differentiators, 80 to 90% of them agree, or 80% of their messaging is exactly the same. We all agree that we want to be safe. We all agree that we want to follow the rules. We want to do business clean. We want to make money, right? So all of us agree. There's just a few things that we maybe don't agree on or that we want to do business a certain way on. But when you kind of pull that apart, and that's a lot about what Broker Carrier Summit is let's sit down and let's understand where we're different, and let's talk calmly about that, and let's be a good medium for that, and let's bring the correct actors in, the good carriers, the good brokers that want to build a better industry.
No scumbags.
No scumbags. I struggle with that term.
I know.
Sometimes I'm good with it, sometimes I'm not. But it's fun to say in some cases, and in other cases it gets over.
You're in a safe spape. It's sense per mile. Nothing bad has ever happened on the show.
No one has came on the show and then not had a job after.
Yet.
There's the first time for everything.
So far.
Right.
I got Robert Bain with me, longtime friend, huge supporter of the industry and moving it forward. Tell me a little bit about what you see this conference bringing to everyone that's in attendance.
Absolutely. So for those who don't know, Robert Bain, Strongest Man in Logistics, GLCS. Super excited for this. I've been a part of the BCS since its inception. I was there for the Whiskey Summit, as people heard about today. I'm the one who kept pushing glasses to Dan. And I'll tell you what I see is an incredible movement of people who they want to do is help, but they want to help and make it matter. And so I see people jumping in, how can I volunteer, who can I talk to? As you said, conversations everywhere. You saw the room packed out this morning, the opening bell. Every seat is taken, it's standing room only. You come out here in the lobby, there's conversations going on, and it's not just, oh, hey, how's my friend doing? This is actual business being done. This is deals getting made, tons of contacts, people introducing people to each other. And so what I see is you see a group of people very like-minded, all trying to push the industry in a direction that it's needed to go, and a lot of folks agree, but no one really knew where to start. And that's really what the movement is about, is, cool, we all want to do this, but what do we actually do? And that's what I'm so excited about, is to see it continue to move. And again, it's awesome, it's exciting, and for me personally, it's incredibly humbling to see this, because I was there for the 37 people, and you could not have told me we would be sitting here in Fort Worth in 18 months with 500 people in a room, all part of this movement. It's just, my allergies pop up a little bit. It's pretty crazy.
No, it is very impressive, and it's all about giving people a platform to have those conversations, to see that progression, and you guys did just that. You brought the most unlikely people together in one room, in one conference. We got drivers, we got carriers, and we got brokers, and one's been arrested.
FMCSA coming.
Yeah, I mean, that's a choice.
It is. And that's what's important, because we had this conversation this morning with Dale Prax, who really helped set that up, and I can't give him enough credit for what he's done to help the movement. The FMCSA has never had representatives sitting in the same room at the same time, both sides of the house, brokers and carriers. They'll go to places like TIA, they'll go to places like TCA, ATA, and there you are almost exclusively one side or the other. The only reason you're going to have a couple is if somebody has a brokerage or has a trucking company. They have to have both. Now you've got everyone in the same room. And is it going to be interesting? You bet. There'll be some shots fired. But really what it is like, we understand things are broken. And now you've got all the way to the governmental levels. We want to fix it. Again, it speaks to the quality of people and the momentum that is going on right now.
I feel like that's going to be the thumbnail for the episode, is brokers, carriers, and FMCSA in one room. Over and unders on who wins?
Me, always.
Well, hey, I appreciate everything you've done, taking the time out to talk to us. Where can people find you?
So you can look for me on LinkedIn, Robert Bain, Strongest Man in Logistics. If you want to follow the powerlifting journey, at Bain316, or also Strongest Man in Logistics on Instagram. And we'll see y'all out there.
What dynamic duo is the best podcast crew at the Broker Carrier Summit, knowing that Charles Grace had just walked past?
I just want to pop in and say, you never know who will show up on the logistics lounge.
That's right. That's right.
I'm here with the armchair attorney, Matthew Leffler. I mean, you guys had a pretty interesting session you just came out of. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, we did about vehicle maintenance and safety. And in our industry, on average, 21.6% of all commercial vehicles, when they're inspected, are unsafe at any speed. And what are the things that are wrong with them? Brakes, lights, and tires. This is an industry that is underinsured and undermaintained. And so few people actually understand how dangerous the equipment is that's on the road. So we talked about pre- and post-trip inspections, the things that drivers are legally required to do, but generally do not do, at least as well as they're supposed to.
Well, from my experience, and I drove, was a lot of times when I would mark stuff, I got penalized for it depending on where I was at. And a lot of the blame, yes, you are the captain of the ship as the driver. You are expected, per the writing on the book, to be responsible for that. But there's also those companies that still pass the buck on to the driver and try to penalize them when they down equipment for that. So, I mean, I believe there's two sides to it, but I do agree with you on this. It's your job. It's your license, and that license follows you when you leave, unlike that carrier who they can fix it, put a new driver in, and they might even have a cleaner license.
The incentives are fundamentally mismatched. You're exactly right. Drivers have been disincentivized for doing what they're supposed to do. If you go back to 1980 before deregulation, where 60 to 70% of all truckers were unionized drivers, and they said, I'm not driving, this thing is unsafe, they didn't have to drive. They were not penalized. If they were penalized, they'd file a grievance. What we have today is a vastly different supply chain. That 21.6% of all commercial vehicles being unsafe is not an aberration. That is how it has been like for many, many years. And the minimum insurance you have to be a driver in this industry is $750,000. That was established in 1980 with the Motor Carrier Act that deregulated the industry.
So inflation hasn't been added into that yet?
No, there was an attempt many times, but the most recent attempt was an act in Congress called the Fair Compensation for Truck Crash Victims Act. Great name, very compelling, but people ended up not doing it because OIDA and the ATA both agree. Do not raise the rates. Keep this as low as possible. The barrier to enter in this industry is very, very low, and that is why 21.6% on average are unsafe.
That's a lot of stats that you got there, and I know you're very passionate about this stuff, so that's why I wanted to pull you to the side, because it's not often people get excited about talking about safety or compliance, and yet you manage to not only make it exciting when you talk about it, but to remain excited yourself the whole time. It would not be an interview with you if I did not ask you your thoughts on the spot, on the show officially, about non-competes.
I believe non-competes have a very useful purpose in our industry. If you buy and sell a company, you should absolutely, positively have a non-competition agreement. In our country, 30 million working Americans have non-competes. Between 30 and 40% of those people make under $20 an hour. Now, we had the FTC come out with a ban of non-competes back in April. The same day, April 23rd, 2024, it was announced the Ryan LLC and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce sued to stop it. That was made official. The ban nationwide has been knocked out as of August 20th, 2024.
Now,
so all these non-competes, they are still in effect.
Now, we've had a lot of conversations, and a lot of people think I got any beef about it. I love this guy. This guy's excitement is great, and it's great to have different perspectives coming in. That's why I wanted to share yours, because I think it's important that people have these conversations, agree to disagree, or turn around and try to find a better path forward on this stuff.
My belief is that if you want to have a non-competition agreement, the person should be paid for when they sit out.
I agree.
And if you are an individual working class person right out of college, you have a job, your identity and what you do become intertwined. And non-competes are a way to take someone's identity away, where you can't do what you've practiced yourself to be able to do. I don't like non-competes in most applications, but I understand why people have them. This will be a fight that is not going to slow down. It will only continue, and states will continue to be skeptical of the use of non-competes for entry-level employees.
So where can people find you if they want to view it?
You can find me on LinkedIn at Matthew Leffler. You can find me on Twitter, Armchair Addy, ATTY, because Addy is the abbreviation for the word attorney. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Facebook. I'm on the things, on Reddit. Armchair Attorney's there too. I love to help people understand the legal challenges that our industry faces and bring them to life so you understand. Because if people understand, that's the best outcome for me and for everyone else in this industry.
Attention truckers, it only takes one ticket to lose your job because of unnecessary traffic convictions. But you can protect your career with Driver's Legal Plan, an actual national law firm dedicated to protecting the rights of truck drivers. We make the highest quality legal representation available to truck drivers, and we make it affordable. You can rest easy knowing you have a trucker's attorney always on your side. Call Driver's Legal Plan today to start protecting your driving record and your career.
We're having a great time here, but it's only going to get better. I'm joined by Danielle from MyCarrierPortal. How's it going?
Going good. It's been a fun conference so far.
There's exciting stuff happening over by you guys.
Yeah, no, definitely. So with MyCarrierPortal, we just got acquired by Descartes. So basically, like the macro point aspect, having that tracking part come into MyCarrierPortal is just, to me, it's the whole complete package, knowing how a carrier looks as far as we're integrated with Freight Validate. So seeing like how do they register with FMCSA? Is that actually, are they legal on that front? Okay, MCP does. Hey, how do they look while they've been operating? And then the macro point data would be how are they actually running a load? Like how do they actually track? Are they actually on time on things? So seeing like the whole complete package. And whenever you're looking up a driver, you know, hey, this driver's never tracked before. I don't know if I really want to use this guy. So really knowing all sorts of things instead of just being in your own little bubble, you're kind of part of the whole broker community or the MCP community, as I like to say. So, yeah.
So that's a lot of stuff, and I think it's really important that people are trying to bring some level of transparency to who you're working with, because these are businesses trying to survive, and the market hasn't been easy. So if you could do some things to curve landmines that you may step on that could be avoided, it's pretty important in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think too, even as a carrier, I think it's important for them to know that who is vetting them. Like if you're not having a broker ask you all these questions, you should have some red flags up as well. I mean, they're getting screwed over just as bad as brokers are. And so that's one of the biggest things I want to really, while I'm here talking to carriers, hey, if you're getting asked these questions, don't throw red flags up. Why are you asking all these things? They legitimately want to know, and they're trying to protect their stuff. They're protecting you. And that's one good thing about having MyCarrierPortal and MacroPoint. They're both very carrier-friendly user products. So I think having, once the market flips and carriers they can pick where they want to do and all those things, making sure that process is still easy for them is, I think, just priority, really.
So it's interesting that you led into my surprise question. When the market flips, we always like to get different people's perspective. Based on your experience and where you sit, where do you see that happening?
When or where?
When?
Let's see. I was thinking it would be this year, but that didn't happen. So maybe next year, but it still seems like it's kind of a ways away is what I think. I'm definitely in no way a financial expert. But as far as riding the waves, we are having like a produce season again. We haven't had a produce season forever. This was one of the first years. To me, that's kind of showing signs that we're maybe getting back to normal.
And everything I see shows that it'll be, my opinion at least on it, it'll be end of second quarter. And it's not going to be some big swing. It's going to be small steps.
Yes, I agree.
A lot of people are hoping for that big swing. But it's interesting that you use the term roller coaster because it's always been that way. There's ups, there's downs, and a lot of people are like, oh, we just want to stay here. It's never done that. I'd love it to do. We'd all be happy for that, but it is what it is.
Yeah, everybody's got to have their take. Carriers get their time, brokers get their times. And I think it's really about being a successful broker or carrier is knowing how to stay consistent, ride the wave, build relationships so that while they're way up here or you're way down here, like you have somebody to, hey, let's meet in the middle because we have that relationship. So that's so important to have. And that, like, Broker Carrier Summit is a way to really, cultivate that.
And that's what we're about, connecting the dots from different perspectives because we believe perspectives lead to solutions. So that seems to be all encompassed here, and your involvement is showing that as well. Yeah. Some of the other big things that you guys had going on is you guys had some partnership integrations with trying to provide a better or even better service than you already had. Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about that and who's involved?
Yeah, and I think one of the things that I really like about MyCarrierPortal is less about like, hey, what can I build all these different things. We're kind of just staying niche in our area. And then, like I said, bringing on partners. Hey, they've had that specialty. They've been building this up. So one of the most, other than the Descartes part, that whole acquisition is exciting. But before that, we did with Freight Validate with Dale Prax and having his whole platform be a part of MyCarrierPortal. So all of our customers are part of it. And then, subscribing, you can read all the things and see exactly what is this crook doing. So it's cool seeing as far as how somebody registers if they were legitimate or not. As far as, like, if you're lying to the government, you're going to probably lie to me, So
that's a fair point. And we have Dale with us.
Yeah,
Dale, we've had great conversations, and there's a lot of exciting stuff happening. So what are you seeing your guys' involvement with the Broker Carrier Summit yielding for not only everyone here, but also for what you guys are aiming to achieve?
I think that the Broker Carrier Summit is really important because for too many years we've been just targeting carriers and saying, are they compliant with rules, regulations, and laws? It's time to start checking the brokers too. And one thing that drew me to MyCarrierPortal is that a carrier that's looking to do business with a broker can also check them out. MyCarrierPortal is not about it's not profit over people. They're checking out their customers to see if are you validated to come on and work with us. So a broker may want to be a customer of MyCarrierPortal, and we're going to say no. Yeah. If you're not qualified, we're not going to give you to the wolves, and let you go be with a carrier and do some illegal stuff. So that whole culture is exactly what I'm looking for. And, I've been to many conferences, both, on the carrier side, broker side. This is a time we can come together and all have conversations, listen to the panel, listen to the FMCSA, and then after that get together and say, how does that affect you? How can we work better together knowing FMCSA's got this new thing coming?
Yeah.
So, and that's really interesting that you guys are vetting out who you're working with because that does limit opportunities as far as the bottom dollar, but it's a better quality of not only the partnerships you form, it's more indicative of long-term success rather than being short-sighted. And you don't see everyone doing that, especially in today's market.
Definitely not in tech
Right, definitely on the tech world. And I think that's probably the most important aspect that folks are missing. Like, there are people who say, well, maybe a load board. Well, why do you let this guy on your load board? Well, because it's profit, Yeah. We are saying we want to build value. We want to build an environment where only the good guys are coming in. And if we do this right, the price, the market will go up a little bit because the bad guys aren't getting your loads anymore, and skimming money from the good guys. And another thing I think that's really important is that our system is probably the most objective system you're going to have. Are you breaking the law or not? If you use subjective data to see if a broker or carrier is good, your overzealousness will cause you to maybe not use them because of number of inspections or something disqualifying. And that's not good for anybody. It's not good for the industry. There's poor drivers who say, well, I haven't had any inspections because for whatever reason, but we're going to disqualify them and they're going to lose accounts. I mean, we have a mental health issue, too, to contend with. And these drivers are people. Let's take care of these people.
And that's huge. So if someone wanted to get involved with you guys, how would they find you, Dale?
Well, if you don't see me on LinkedIn like every 20 minutes, call 911 because something's gone wrong. But our website is freightvalidate.com. My email address is info@freightvalidate.com. And again, I try to put content out on LinkedIn to get the good drivers to be in compliance and the bad guys let them know that we're coming after them.
That's awesome. And if someone wanted to find you, because you guys are all doing some big stuff together, you guys all have your respective niche markets where you're trying to better the industry and the path forward, how would they find you?
So definitely on LinkedIn, Danielle Spinelli, and then MyCarrierPortal, either MyCarrierPortal.com, MyCarrierPortal on LinkedIn, Descartes, their whole network and their newsletters and stuff like that. All of that's out there.
We got Mother Trucker with us.
Let's go.
Let's go. You've been doing this for some time now.
Yeah.
You've seen a lot of different things. What's your first opinion on broker carriers?
To be honest with you, at first I was like, is it just going to be a whole bunch of freight brokers here and no carriers? And, I'm seeing, and if you guys later on pan out to the side, you'll see that people are actually having conversations with each other that they usually wouldn't have, right? The keyboard warriors that you see where it's like a freight broker's like, man, these dang carriers, and the carrier's like, man, the freight brokers, they're just messing us up. And then here, they're actually having conversations, dude.
Talk about trucking and drivers. What do you foresee happening in trucking, like the current state of trucking and where it's going?
Yeah, so pretty much at this moment, if things don't start getting better sooner than later, carriers are going broke, people. Let's be honest, right? So what's the real statistics on it? Well, we could say for sure over 90% of carriers are small carriers, man.
Nope.
We already know that. 1 to 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 shorts knots. They're broke right now. It's like this race to the bottom, and it's how do you solve this issue? But let's be honest, it's almost like when COVID happened and the world stopped, everybody's making money, right? And more people that shouldn't be in this industry get into this industry. We need to change, and I do see a lot of people out here. They're trying to find solutions. For all the drivers out there, I love you, I appreciate you. And I'm talking to a lot of people now. I know it's kind of hard to come out to things like this, but there are people out there that are good. Just like people, the carriers, they say, man, there's bad freight brokers. I'm gonna be honest. Man, there's some drivers that shouldn't be driving a truck.
Absolutely.
Everybody in here, we got to try and find a solution instead of just blaming each other.
Well, it's all having a platform where you can have these conversations like people are having right now.
Yeah.
A lot of times you never see brokers, carriers, drivers, and FMCSA all get under one roof.
Well, that's pretty cool, yeah.
And this was the only place I've ever seen that happen, and they're enjoying themselves. They're not fighting. If people wanted to find you,
Mother Trucker News on all social medias. And, email us at mothertruckernews@gmail.com. You want to get your story out there. We'll do our best to cover the ones we can.
So, all right, brother. Well, have a great trucking day.
Hey.
So, we've been to a lot of conferences. This might have been the most exhausting and drained my social battery the most because there was so much to do and so many people to talk to. I don't even have a voice anymore.
The networking opportunities here have been phenomenal. The content's great, but I am exhausted and you've lost your voice, so I think it's time to call it.
Back to Kansas City and better barbecue.
Back to Chattanooga. Thank you for tuning in to Sense Per Mile. I'm your host, Charles Gracie.
And I'm your co-host, Paul Gibson. Hopefully be able to talk to you next time.